Hey, guess what? It's time for Chakra Talk Live. I told you I can't do that 12 o'clock thing every day. It's just too much of a box. So I'm ready to work tonight. I worked night shift for years, so working at night's no problem for me. There must be some of you that won't be asleep either. So I see you up here all the time. So we'll get some work done tonight. I'm Piper. I run a Facebook group called Chakra Talk. I have a YouTube channel now called Chakra Talk also. And I am half owner and instructor at Marinsky's Magic, where we offer local events here in Salem, Oregon. Tonight, I want to talk to you about choices. And I want to talk to you about some of the choices you're making that you may not even realize you're making. They can change your life dramatically. They changed mine. And these are not things that I can tell you what to choose, but sometimes it's helpful just to know that you're making choices and that the choices you're making are impacting things around you, and to take a look at that and see if possibly the choices you're making are serving you, or if possibly you're kind of sabotaging yourself because you're making choices that you're not making consciously and willfully. Okay? So, of course, if we're talking about making choices, we're going to be talking about Mr. Crown Chakra, who thinks it's in charge of everything. What we're going to talk about is resetting your defaults so that your choices get made ahead of time, and that you can, what would be the word, what's another word besides default? So that you can rely on that response when you need it. If you need an automatic response, it'll be the one you want instead of the one you were trained as a child. We get a lot of training as a child. We get a lot of hooks. We get a lot of societal grooming that tells us we respond in certain ways, and that's the way it must be. And I'm here to tell you there's no must be about it. You can change your behavior anytime you desire to. Usually what I have found is that when you take responsibility and change that behavior, things around you start to change really fast. So one of the things we'll talk about this evening that's kind of hard for people to understand is that all the stuff that's going on in your life, whether it's good, bad, indifferent, joyous, wondrous, crappy, chronic, whatever it is, a lot of it is spontaneous, and it is just occurring around you. There is very little you can do to stop that flow of life. You have to remember, we have millions and millions of people here who have all come here with contracts and with work to do, and with agreements ahead of time, and with agreements from the other side. And they are all interacting and all intermingling here. And at the same time, you're here completely alone, all by yourself, on a solitary journey, and all these other people are actors in your play, okay? So I want to talk to you about something that was I'm going to do this the way I always do. I'm going to tell you what happened to me, and if there's any of it you can use, please feel free to take it and use it. Hello, folks who are joining me tonight. Carmen and Bonnie, you're up late. Zerilius, I appreciate you being here. One of these days, you and I are going to have to sit down and actually talk. So, what is it about? One of the hardest things in the world for me was for me to come to an actual realization that we choose whether or not we feel happy on any given day in any given moment. I had such an unusual childhood, and not a lot of guidance growing up. I kind of raised myself and went through some very bizarre relationships with numerous stepfathers. My mom had issues. My childhood was just kind of bizarro world. But part of what happened there is that I was made to believe, I was conditioned to believe that other people could hurt me. I was conditioned to believe that other people's actions could cause me to be unhappy. That other people's unpredictability could cause me to have anxiety. Okay, you see, all of those things out there caused this person, when I was little Piper, to have all sorts of doubts and misconceptions. About myself, about decisions I made, caused me a great amount of difficulty in not trusting people, because when people lie to you regularly, then you learn not to trust people. Okay, so when it came right down to it, about 5 years ago, and I was about this close to dying, and I said, well, I'm not going to die, so what am I going to do here? And, oh, that's interesting. I didn't notice, but you see the cup I'm drinking out of today? It says, let it go. And that's exactly what the choice was that I made. I made a choice to let all that shit go. And in so doing, to clear up a lot of space, CPUs, memory, storage, if you will, but also to clear up a lot of energy that I was putting into things that weren't serving me in any way. They were making me miserable. They had wrecked my life. I was in a state of complete, just almost shut down physically. And I decided not to die, and I decided to stick around here. So I said, well, I got to figure out something, because whatever I've been doing obviously hasn't worked. It isn't working for me. So besides making some really big life changes in my living situation, and eventually in my work situation, I also made some really big choices in how I chose to, there's that word, how I chose to look at the world. I've always said that you cannot fight your way to peace. That's always been a conundrum for me. They say war is all about peace. It just doesn't compute. I've never, ever understood that. And I've never even understood where anybody could get such a concept that you can fight your way into peacefulness. The way to peacefulness is to put down the guns and weapons and turn away from the fight. But because people make choices, and because people have beliefs, and because people get all caught up in stuff and groups and energies that swarm around, and because people choose to follow that kind of energy, we have chaos in the world today. We don't have chaos here in our home. Our home is very pleasant, very quiet, very calm. That's because we choose to have it this way. You can choose this too. One of the very hardest things for me to reconcile was getting my feelings hurt. And that's a big one for a lot of people. And the way that I was able to finally pick this apart and make sense of it was, I said, how is getting my feelings hurt helping me? So I had to redo my wording. And when I redo the wording, and sometimes it's hard to even say this out loud because you want to fight against this. I didn't do this. I didn't choose this. But in reality, you do. And we'll get to exactly how that works. I would say, why do I choose to have my feelings hurt? They're my feelings. If they're hurting, I'm allowing them to hurt. Therefore, I am choosing that. So there must be some underlying or some conditioned or some subconscious default that's causing that to happen. Now, when I say causing it to happen, I don't mean something out there is causing it. I mean something inside my internals, in the way that I have set up my responses, my choices, causes me to have my feelings hurt, okay, about whatever it is. So the first thing you have to do is pick apart, why do you choose that? Well, the first thing you have to do is accept that you do choose it. And once you have accepted that you are in fact choosing to feel however you feel, then you have regained all of your power. Do you see that if I say you hurt me, you over there caused this over here pain, then I have given you all the power. You have all the power over there, and I am a victim over here just waiting to be harmed and hurt. Do you see how that works? So when I say take responsibility for yourself, what I'm really saying is take your power back. Take your power back. Take it back from society. Take it back from your parents. Take it back from your boss. Take it back from your religious leaders. For God's sakes, take it back from your political leaders. Take it back from anyone who tells you what you should do, or from anyone who has conditioned you so much that you don't even realize what you're choosing is for something out there and has nothing to do with serving this here. Okay? So when I finally began to really look at it, and I said, okay, I have my feelings hurt today, whatever that day is, and this is what happened. Why do I choose to hurt? And I spent hours and hours and hours in meditation sitting with that question. Why do I choose to hurt? And at this point, I'm not talking about physical pain. I'm talking about hurt feelings. We've all said it. You hurt my feelings. That hurt my feelings. Anything that any time that my feelings, my emotions are in pain, it is because I have chosen that. I have chosen that as my response. There are some very good reasons why we do that. And there are some safety mechanisms as a youngster that we may adapt to. And we just need to take a look at them and see if they're still serving us. One of the things that I found when I was a young child was that when my feelings were hurt, when I was sad or sulking or crying or tearful, sometimes that caught my mom's attention, and she would take me on her lap, or she would sit with me, or whatever it was. You know how it is with moms and children. They have all different ways of comforting. Well, I learned early on that that was one of the only ways I could get her attention. And so I placed that into my awareness as whoever's over there that I feel I give away all my power to. When you're a little kid, you feel very much like mama is in control. Well, whoever that person is, when you choose to allow them to cause you to hurt, they haven't caused anything. You have chosen to hurt in response to something they did. And what they did is beyond your control. It is a spontaneous occurrence, if you will. Okay? And then you choose your response. The choice you have is in choosing your response to what's happening in the world all around you, all day, every day. You have all heard me say, and these two things seem to contradict each other, but they don't, and I'll tell you why. You've all heard me say, everything here is happening, it's scripted, it's a spontaneous occurrence, life is just rolling out in front of us. And with the same breath, you hear me come over here and say, your choices design your life, you manifest the life you want, your choices roll out and make the choices in front of you better or worse, depending on what you choose. So how is that? How is it all spontaneous happening over here, and it's all over here, you get to choose? You're contradicting yourself, Piper. Well, no, this is the thing. There are spontaneous events happening all around us all day, every day. Okay? We have very, very limited input as to what is occurring around us. And if you don't believe that, write down everything you're going to do for the next hour. Every minute of that hour, what you're going to be doing. And then look at it and see how that plays out. You'll find that you have no idea what you're doing. You just don't. They have also gone in, if you want to get more technical about it, they've gone in and done some studies with MRIs and CT scans and internal things where they can look at the brain. And they've gone in and they've done this testing to say, okay, you're going to have a red button or a blue button, and you're going to push one. Well, what they have shown is that the hand is in motion going to push the button before the brain ever knows what's going on. When the brain makes the choice that boop boop's on the MRI or the CAT scan, it's a done deal. So how much of that is choice? How much of what this body does do we choose? DNA is running it. We have automated systems that run, for the most part, all the processes. I can choose good food. I can choose rest and exercise. Those are things you do on a day-to-day basis that keep this thing running and healthy. Okay? Simple. It seems simple. How many times do you ever get up and go to the kitchen and say, I'm going to go in the kitchen and make a sandwich? And the body gets up and proceeds to go to the kitchen to make a sandwich. Kid runs in front of you, you drop a glass of water, you're cleaning up the floor, you've got a kid to change over here, suddenly the dishwasher's going off and it's making a noise, and 10 minutes later you're back in the living room sitting down, and you've completely forgotten about a sandwich. But you got up with every intention to go have that sandwich. Do you see? The crown often thinks it's doing things or going to do things that are not really what it's going to do. What's going to occur is more or less spontaneous all around us because it's all in play. It's all got to go the way it goes in order for everything to exist and coexist together the way it's designed and the way it does. So when I decided, okay, first of all, I've chosen to have my feelings hurt. I have chosen to feel pain in my emotions internally. That's a decision I've made. Why did I do that? Okay, well, I've told you, I discovered when I broke it all down that I learned very early having your feelings hurt and having the body respond in this way could get you unhurtful attention from a parent. Okay? Do you see how early that was embedded? Unhurtful attention. Not great attention, but it won't hurt. Maybe it's sit in their lap or, get patted a little bit or whatever it is. Okay, so it served me as a young child. As a young child, when I looked sad or upset, perhaps it jolted my mother to say, oh, maybe I should do something with her. She's here. So it had its purpose. As an adult, if someone says, well, I don't like your dress you're wearing. That dress makes you look fat. And I go, oh, you hurt my feelings. Person who said that's already left and they're down the end of the block and I'm sitting here a day and a half later going, they told me I look fat. That serves no purpose. You see, that's a default that no longer serves me. You saying my dress looks ugly is your business. That's not my business. I don't care what you think of my dress or whatever or anything else. But if you're going to share it with me, I get to choose to respond. Well, my response would be, okay, have a good day. When your response is that way to most things that most people say to you, it's okay. Whatever you say, have a great day. You'll find that there's not a lot to be in turmoil about. There's not a lot of chaos. There's not a lot of conflict. It's when I say that you said, made me, this, you did, this, point this, back and forth with the finger, that's when we get into this conflict and argument. And then from argument with two people to argument with two groups, it's not very far from that till you see that we have war. So here now we have these big, massive groups of people who have consensually agreed to have their feelings hurt about whatever, this side over here or this side over here, and they're going to fight it out and they're going to find peace that way. Well, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. The way that they're going to find peace is for this group over here to turn around their backs and face their group and say, we need to reorganize and get ourselves okay. And for this group over here to turn around and face the other way and say, Well, let's just leave them alone. Let's get ourselves straightened out over here. Well, to put that down to the microscopic, how to take care of number one, you for the day, regardless of what's going on in the world around you and regardless of how people are behaving around you, regardless of what spontaneous occurrences are happening in your field of awareness, you still get to choose your response. I have found that I have just had to reset the defaults. That's all it was. Once you reset the defaults to a happier, more joyful response, then that becomes the habit instead of, I got my feelings hurt. Okay? I find one of the greatest defaults is humor. Anything you can look at in this world and you just look at the ludicrousy of it. You look at these spontaneous things that occur and you're just like, I couldn't have dreamed up that kind of bullshit in 1,000 years. This is hysterically funny. What am I going to get out of this? What am I to learn from this very bizarre situation, whatever that might be? You see, you reset the default. The default is always, in my mind, I always have two defaults, gratitude and wonder. That's it, gratitude and wonder. That covers everything. Anything coming at me, anything that seems to be coming at me, I receive with gratitude, because whatever seems to be coming at me, I have chosen, I am drawing it to myself. It is here to help me learn my lessons. So whatever it may be, if it seems to be out there coming towards me, I call that is accepted with gratitude. I've told you before, I wake up first thing every morning and the very first conscious thought I have is, I'm here again, thanks. Let's do this again. It is now my default. I don't wake up in the morning and think, oh, did I remember to be grateful? Before I can engage in thinking, I have already had the thought, I'm here again, thanks. It's spontaneous now, it's my default. Okay? So, gratitude, anything coming towards me, anything that seems to be from out there coming in, I accept it with gratitude. So when you say to me, that dress makes you look ugly, I'm going to say, thank you for that opinion. Now I have more data points to consider whether I want to wear this dress again, not based on how you reacted. I don't give a shit what you think of my dress, but thank you for the extra data points. Okay, do you see? You always have that choice. Okay, so that's the things that are coming at me. Accept them with gratitude. That's what I have found works for me. What about the things that are out there in front of me? Things I don't know. Think my future out here in front of me. It's coming up. It comes fast. Sometimes it comes so fast you don't even see it. It's just boom, you're there. You were there, now you're here. That's in reality how all life is. All life is happening right now, and we can't catch it. It's too fast. So that one, I approach everything coming up in front of me with wonder. You see, two emotions, two defaults, and I have reset every response. Every response is one of those two. It's coming at me, and I'm thankful. I see it coming up in front of me, and wow, it's wondrous. That's it. Two responses changed my entire world. I do a lot of, I guess what you call spiritual counseling. That's what we call it, with folks who have anger issues or with folks who have broken heart issues. Deep hurt, that kind of thing, grief even. And I always start with, why do you choose to feel that way? And sometimes that's all it takes, and our relationship is over. They've gotten their purse and their shoes, and they're out the door, and they're like, she's an asshole, and I'm not doing that. Okay, they're not ready for that. But when I have someone who comes in who has this, they have this Pandora's box of shit that they're hauling around, and that hurts my feelings, and that makes me sad, and that makes me hate holidays, and This one makes me fear that, and that one makes me fear that, and that one causes me nightmares. Why, in the first place, would you carry around a box like that with stuff in it and carry it with you? You have to burden yourself to carry that stuff. The cup says it all. Let it go. If it's done 30 seconds or 5 minutes or 30 years ago, it's over. And you are responding to your own thoughts about whatever it is. Okay? So the way to get those thoughts to not torture you is to get them to be what is comfortable to think about. Pleasant thoughts. Even unpleasant circumstances, very unpleasant circumstances, can still have pleasant thoughts around them. You don't have to decide that things can assault your peace and happiness. Anything that you let in here and you let it hurt you, harm you, just realize you let that happen. You not only let it happen, you choose it. And you can choose other things. See, that's the thing about this default business. We get the idea that, well, it's all set up. There's nothing I can do about it. I've heard so many people say, oh, no, I'm 50, 60, 70 years old. I ain't changing nothing. Well, yes, you are. You're exchanging all your body cells and you're experiencing an entirely new life every few seconds. Every day, you have been reborn multiple times. You are changing whether you want to or not. So whether you change your behavior, that's the point where you get a little bit of choice. Your body is changing. Your cells are changing constantly. You have no choice in the matter. Your body is running on an automated system run by the root chakra and the deep brain. You have no choice in the matter. As a human, you are going to have a beating heart. You are going to need air to respirate. Your body is mostly water. You have no choice in these things. Every other of the 8 billion people walking around here on the planet have no choice about those things I just told you. This person over here doesn't choose to be 500 pounds. This person over here doesn't choose to be 6 foot tall and 110 pounds and can't gain weight no matter what they do. That's their DNA. That's what they're here to do. That's all they can do. You can go kicking and screaming or you can go pleasantly, but you're going to go. Okay? But the things you can make choices about are how you respond to those other 8 billion people around you and all the stuff that they've got going on. You see, this is the most paradoxical reality when you really get right down to it. We are here on a solitary journey. First of all, I'm here all by myself and all of you are in my awareness. Yet, all of you have that same thing going on, and here we are all interacting in the energy field, okay? And yet, at the same time, not a single one of us is anything other than that energy field. It's a paradox inside a paradox inside a paradox. How in the hell do we even begin to sort this out? Well, you sort it out by realizing that this person here, this one, when I look there, the person there, inside the eyes, behind the person, inside, running the soul string, is not attached to this, and that thing has choices. And the way it has choices is by controlling your frequency and your vibration. Okay? So I'm not telling any of you that you need to reset all your defaults to only 2 words. I tend to like to do things in 1 or 2 words because I like them to be very quick. I've told you before, when I'm working with any kind of a negative energy and I feel I have a hook to remove, my default now with the universe is remove and repair immediately. Release and repair. Get it out of here and fix me up. I don't have to give them instructions. I don't have to say, I need you to go in here and do this and none of that. I say release and repair and it's done. Because I set all that up ahead of time. That's what a default is. A default is, how are we going to respond if we don't have time to think about responding? Okay? Well, in reality, you never have time to think about responding to what's actually happening. You only respond to your thoughts about thoughts. The response to what's actually happening, I described to you once before, is when you lay your fingers on the hot stove and the body pulls the hand back so fast that the brain hasn't even realized it's on the stove yet. And then the brain says, oh shit, I burned myself. Well, by the time the brain says, oh shit, I burned myself, you'd burn half your fingers off. You've already pulled them up and they've been off the stove for 10 seconds by the time you get those words out. You see, the event is over. It's now in thought space. Every event is over in the moment it occurs, and then we get to think about it. And our response, other than a physical jerk from the body, our response is thoughts about thoughts, always. The less thoughts you can have about other thoughts, the more peace and joy and contentment you may find. I know people who are greatly bothered by anxiety. Anxiety is looking out to the future, like I look out with wonder and saying, what if, and then listing a list of shit that could happen. Well, what if this happens? Well, what if this happens? Well, what if this happens? Well, while you were just sitting there making your list of all the shit that's not happening, you missed whatever was happening in your real existence right now. Anytime that you waste, or let me rephrase that, anytime that you choose to spend thinking thoughts about thoughts, having feelings about thoughts, having feelings about feelings you had, so now you're thinking about them and that brings up the feelings again. Do you see how it's a vicious cycle? I also think one of the hardest things for people to do is to actually engage in wanting to let go of that stuff. And again, you have to figure out why you're holding on to it in the first place. Is it serving you? How is it serving you? What do you get out of it? What do you get out of reliving your trauma over and over and over and over? You get traumatized over and over and over and over if that's what you choose to do. I went back through all of my traumas. I went back through all of them that I could remember, and even into some pre-verbal split personality stuff that couldn't speak but was still very angry. And I went through them each and every one by one, and then I let them go. I didn't go through them and make a list of this one makes me red mad, this one is an orange level, this one is a yellow level, and I will pull these out anytime I need sympathy, or anytime I need to get someone's attention, or anytime I need to manipulate a situation, or any of those things. I'll just keep these in here in case I need to be upset. No, I don't do that. I know people who live that way, and they're miserable. They're always pissed off. I know that most of you here, I think all of you that I see here with me tonight, are all in the United States, and we all have this turmoil going on in the political world. I don't do anything with politics, never have, never will. It has no effect on my life whatsoever, and people are just pissed off and upset and talking about it day and night. Just realize you're choosing to use your energy on that. You're choosing to spend the energy for your own self-care, talking, engaging, and feeling about things happening in Washington, D.C., say, that have nothing to do with what's happening with you right here, right now. And this gets people all stirred up. They're like, you don't know anything about it. This government shutdown's done this and it's done that. Okay, well, granted, it's got a lot of things fucked up in society, but of each and every one of you that's here with me tonight, right now, right here, right now, do you have what you need? Well, obviously you do. You're on the internet sitting here at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night talking to me. You're not in need of anything. You're not homeless. You're not out on the street. Uh, you don't have 10,000 whatever immigrants running up to your front door to rape your children. This is all bullshit. Whatever's going on in the world is what's going on in the world. It's spontaneous out there, just the same as it's spontaneous between me and you. They don't have any more choice about it than we do. They have the choice to respond. Now, let's get to the part of this where I say, I create my existence every day. I've told you, it's all spontaneous. It's happening out there. If it's coming at you, it's out there. It's none of my business. If it's for me looking forward, it's over there. I look at it with joy and wonder, but it's still really none of my business. It's over there. My only business is right here in this little 30-second slice of being right now. We can't be anything but right now, but we do all this other stuff with our thoughts. Do you see? If I was sitting here tonight and I had spent this last hour, I could be sitting here tonight thinking of all the things that could go wrong because of whatever's happening in Washington. Or it could be about my job. Or it could be about Aunt Susie who's got cancer. Or it could be about the starving children in Africa. Or it could be about pit bulls being dumped in pits and made to fight. Do you see? None of those things are going on here in my environment. Not one of them. The time it took me to say that to you, I missed a minute and a half of my right now. Okay, and I don't give up my right now very easy. Anymore, my right now is my priority. Number one thing in my life is making sure that I am okay at all times. Because the absolute best thing I can do for any of you, in all my love for the world and all my love for other humans, the best thing I can do for you is to take care of this, because that's really all I can do. My responses project joy out, and that seems to have an effect on people. People tell me all the time that they enjoy being around me. They enjoy that I'm joyful, that they feel better when we've talked or when we do counseling, and I give them some of the information. They take it and it works for them. Okay, that's all wonderful. That's all great and wonderful. My responses are creating for me a joyful life, and they seem to be rolling out in front of me friends and relations who come around and feel comfortable around me. That's great. That's all I need. So you see, the only way you're creating your life is because you create your responses, and your responses create the next moment and the next moment and the next moment and the next. And you respond to everything happening around you. And really all that stuff happening around you is none of your business. It's what my business is contained in about this much space right here. Occasionally, because I live with another human being, mine and Joe's paths seem to go concurrently. We seem to be doing the same thing, but realize they're concurrent. They're not together. They're two paths doing the same thing. We're still here separately. He chooses his responses. I choose my responses. We have different responses to different things. We respond differently to different things because we have reset our defaults, but we both actively work at, if something causes us to react with a we immediately go in, and as soon as we can get the vibration up enough to do that, we're like, why did that happen? Where did it come from? Is there a hook that needs to be taken care of here? Is this an old default from childhood, and does it still serve me? Some defaults from childhood do still serve you. If you have a default from childhood that says you get nervous and upset around drunken, screaming, fighting, arguing people, that's probably still going to serve you. Get away from those people. Honor that default. If you feel anxious, your body is trying to tell you something. Get away from that situation, okay? But if that situation occurred from the time you were a child and you were afraid of this loud, boisterous, whatever that was going on in your home as a child, and you've set your defaults that you cannot be around people drinking, and so now you go to a wedding and they serve wine and you freak out and leave, well, maybe that default's not serving you in that way anymore, because it looked like everybody at the wedding was having a good time and going to have a glass of wine, and you freaked the hell out and ran because there's alcohol, and alcohol always means trouble. There is nothing that is always. Always is just, there's some things that are just going to happen that are going to feel heavy, negative, not helpful. Okay? But in reality, they are whatever we called in to get this job done. And you get to respond to them. And if you respond in a light, quick way, whatever the response is, it's over, it's done. Even if something pisses me off, which hardly ever happens anymore. Let me see if I can even think of an example. I can't think of an example. I used to get really, really upset about people harming animals. I've learned to deal with that now. But I realized that no matter how much I was upset about it, all it was doing was being upset here. It didn't do anything for any animals. It didn't do anything for a single harmed or mistreated animal for me to sit and feel miserable about it. Do you see? But I will tell you what it does do. When you sit and feel miserable about something that you can do nothing about, it feeds that miserableness into the Akashic record. And the more of us are feeding in misery, the lower the vibration of the entire place stays. The more of us are feeding in lightness and joy, the higher the vibration of the entire world, because you are joyful. My little line that I say on my personal Facebook thing, it says, raising the vibration of the universe with every moment of joy. And that's not light and rainbow farts. That is my literal mission every single day. That's what I do here. I experience joy, and I share that with as many people as I can. And I share it with the record every day, starting from the first moment I wake up. I'm here. I'm glad, thankful. Right away, that joy is headed up. Okay? I walk from the bedroom to the kitchen in bare feet, and we have this rock floor, and it's cold in the morning. I have got it down to the point that I never say, "Oh, my feet are cold." What I say is, "My feet are cold. It'll feel so good to put socks on." You see, that's coming at me. Cold floor, feet. It's not an assault. It's a reminder of what a great thing it is to have warm socks and have them right here in my closet. I just go get a pair and put them on. More gratitude. We have one of those wonderful fireplaces that looks like a fireplace, and it has gas feed into it, and it's got logs in it, but the logs don't burn up. You know what I mean? You push a button, fire. Every single time I push that button and get this fire, I am just almost brought to tears by the gratitude of it, because I know how hard Grandma had to work to maintain fire so that they could survive. And I just push a button, and I'm just overwhelmed with the gratitude of it. See, that's something coming at me. That's fire. That's something out there. It's presented to me. Push a button, have a fire. See, it'd be just as easy to push the button, not even pay no attention, walk away, go do something else, blah, 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 blah. 4 hours later, God damn, it's hot in here. Go push the button again, turn the fire off. You see, you missed the whole thing. You missed it all. I don't miss much. It's interesting because from the outside, I look very scattered, and I look like I don't remember a lot of things, and I don't plan things well, and I don't stay on schedules or any of that. But from in here, What it feels like is like I'm actually living my life right here, right now. This one right here, right now. I'm living this. I'm not living tomorrow. I'm not living 30 years ago or 50 years ago when crap was happening. I'm living right now, and right now is pretty fucking good. Two days ago when I was in pain and I was having a hard time, I would go and lay on the bed, and we have this wonderful heated, what do you call it, mattress pad. So the whole mattress is like warm. I'd go in there and I'd lay down and put my hands on myself and start some self Reiki. And what I'm pouring in as soon as I put my hand here is I'm so grateful that I know whatever's feeling bad is already in the process of changing and going away. That's those millions of cells changing every day. Whatever it is that you don't like, it's already on its way out. But realize, whatever it is you do like, it's already on its way out. Everything's changing constantly. Take as much time as you can to think about your thoughts and get them straightened out, and try to get them set to how you want to respond in the world. But realize as soon as you can, once you've done the training, get it down to the smallest little piece of slice you can. If you can get down to living 1 or 2 minutes at a time, there's very little in this life you need, and there's nothing to worry about. Nothing. You get to a point when you reach peacefulness, contentment, you come to a point, or I came to a point where I have a complete, total trust in that other part of me that's not here apparently in this. I realize I'm not in this, but the big part of me that's still part of the big energy that's running and making decisions for this little soul string is accessible at all times. And that's the part that's very adaptable. So when you move your vibration up and you're interacting in the non-physical up here, you can make a lot bigger changes in your world than just interacting down here with what's right now, with what's in this thing, in this body. Do as much of it as you can right now, but realize once you get yourself healthy, this thing will just run itself. I pay very little attention to my body. Maybe once a day it'll say, you might ought to eat something, and I'll go find something to eat. Maybe once a day, maybe twice a day. I don't eat out of habit anymore. I just eat if I'm hungry. And some days I don't eat. And some days I eat for 4 or 5 hours, just little munchies all along. It's just whatever comes up that I feel like my body needs. I try to do exactly whatever it says. Some days I drink coffee all day long, and some days I drink water all day long. So it's just learning to do whatever little bit needs to be done right now to take care of business. And if you take care of business, if you're thirsty and you drink water, then you took care of it. If you're still thirsty, then drink some more water. It's just that simple. If this is comfortable, then sit this way. If it's not comfortable, then wiggle this way and see if that's better. If that's better, sit that way. If it's not, well, try something else. And when you get right down to the big picture of life, the big picture of what we're all doing here, and one of the couple of isms that I rely on is Buddhism, and that's the entirety of Buddhism. Is this working for you? Yeah, we'll do it some more. Is this working for you? No, not really. Well, then go try something else, anything else. Try anything except what's not working. And I didn't reset all my defaults in a 15-minute or a 30-minute or 45-minute session, whatever this is. It took me years, but you got to start somewhere. Find one thing that you respond to without thinking and look at how you respond. Try to find out why you respond that way, and then find out if it still serves you. And if it serves you, tuck it away and keep it. Polish it up and say it's been updated and I'm keeping that. But if it's not serving you, realize all you got to do to let it go is let it go. I know people pay top dollar for grief counseling, and for depression counseling, and people go in and get on medicines and things, chemicals. We've talked about all this for depression and anxiety and all that. You can usually live 1 or 2 minutes without having to have an anxiety pill or a depression pill or a cigarette. I used to smoke cigarettes too. I know completely about addiction. I was addicted to narcotics as well, pills, bad liver damage, sick, bad stuff. So I do understand all this stuff. I lived it, but I don't live it now. And I don't have it come up and take over my life like it used to. And I don't ever give anyone the power to hurt me or to decide how I feel about anything. I wake up in the morning and it's, hi, I'm here. Let's do something great. It takes a lot to throw me off of my bliss pedestal, if you will. Part of the reason for that is that I work in the Ascended Master level, and that's just such a high vibration that a lot of the stuff down here I'm just not aware of. I really am not. I do spend hours and hours in my little workroom here painting and drawing and writing, just anything to do whatever's doing here to keep this busy while background is working. Okay. It's all about choices, and the choices that you get to make are how you respond to the chaos going on around you. And you do those by will. It is your intention to have this response. You set it up, you give it to the universe, and you trust them to do it. That's how it's done. Okay. As usual, I'm the only one here talking. So if anybody has anything to say or wants to say hi or bye, I'll be right here. I'm going to close this off. It's late tonight. I have a feeling I'm going to have a work night tonight. I'm wide awake, and I worked night shift for many years. You can recover from night shift, but you have flashbacks. I stay up a lot at night. Okay. Y'all have a wonderful day. I don't know when I'll be back for Chakra Talk. Maybe later, maybe tomorrow. Here in another hour, it'll be a new day. We'll find out what's going on. Okay. Get up tomorrow morning and choose what kind of day you're going to have, and see how great it is to find out that you're the one in control of how you feel. Okay. Make it a choice. It's up to you. Because how I feel is none of your business, and how you feel about me is none of my business. Okay. Love you guys. Bye.